Welcome to the Guild's second podcast. Before we get right into it, and for any new members that's in the Treasure Hunters Guild, I must go over the rules of the Treasure Hunters Guild. The first rule is you do not talk about the Treasure Hunters Guild. The second rule, you do not talk about the Treasure Hunters Guild. The third rule, respect your fellow treasure hunters. Fourth rule, there is no stealing from other treasure hunters. Fifth rule, weapons are not to be taken out while at the Treasure Hunters Guild. Sixth rule, you do not go alone. Dungeons and caves are dangerous. Seventh rule, help the downed treasure hunter. Eighth and final rule, if this is your first time with the Treasure Hunters Guild, you must drink a Merrill mud brine. Welcome to the guild, my friends. There's a few things I want to go over today, so the podcast might be a little bit shorter than normal. So I'm going to go over the new schedule, or the idea of the new schedule I want to have planned for both Patreon and the live stream and Twitch and their live streams. I want to go over the Pilfer tier. I'm going to add something additional to that, so I want to give you a heads up here, and then you'll also get the notification on Patreon exactly when I change it from what the old one was to what the new tier is, so I'm going to be crystal clear so that you all understand. But if there's still a question or anything like that regarding, you can always comment on it, be open, so I'll tell you. Another thing I'm going to go over is a recent concept that I just did, and that's the mosquito outfitter. So I want to tell you how some of the logic, I want the logic to work as much as I feel like I can do for the coding and logic wise, and what the actual object's going to be, and then kind of what else I have planned to do for concept wise. For the last Patreon live stream where we were doing the refining, how you guys understand how I do the process now, how I shape it in, refine it, and then do the other pieces and follow suit. You know, or if some don't know, I ended up cutting it short, two hours short, so it was a 2 hour stream, only because that process was now starting to get a little bit repetitive. When you see it twice on how I do that, especially on the same object, I feel I just didn't need to show you the rest 5 other pieces. So what I'm going to do is on off screen, if I can allow the time for it, I'm going to go through and do that. If I run into issues where I don't have time to do the refining, what I'll do is I'll do other stuff on the live stream and go back on my own time and finish those things off. So I will still progress forward on the Patreon live streams, and hopefully try not to make it as repetitive so that we can get into the map, we can refine that, the section for the mother tree, we can semi-rough the rest of the world so that sinks down, so we can explore that and do a little bit of level dressing on the meantime, get those rocks in there, get the map all set up. I'm really looking forward to doing that stuff. So that's coming up in the next coming streams for Patreon. For Twitch, actually, before I go into all the content, I'm gonna go over I'll go briefly over the new scheduling. So the Patreon live stream is not going to change. It's still going to be on Wednesday. The thing that's going to change, the 2 things that's actually going to change, is the time that I do the Patreon live stream for and how long I do it for. The time that I am going to do the Patreon live stream is going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 Eastern time. So 2 hour live streams from now on, every week, always on Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30. That's just because there's a lot of things changing. I got a lot of things in the morning now to do that I have to take care of. So my freedom to do things in the early morning are dissipating. So everything's going to be within the evening now, which is fine. And we're working around it. So that's the new schedule for Patreon. The new schedule for Twitch is going to be on Monday and Thursday, same times, 5:30 to 7:30 Eastern time, and on there I'll be doing the same format that I've always been doing. They only see so much. You get to see more because now you have you would always have access to Twitch, but now you see way more stuff that I originally would have done on Twitch if I didn't have Patreon. But now that I have you guys here and Patreon and all the elite treasure hunters, you guys are getting all that cool exclusive stuff. So that's going to be the new schedule for the live streaming as a whole, and the times and the days. I'll update you on Patreon just to have a post that you see it anyway. For anyone that doesn't watch these, then they'll still get the notification. Same on all the other medias too. There was something else that I was going to bring up regarding all that, but it's slipped my mind. So we'll move on, and if I think of it, I'll come back to it. Oh right, the pilfer update, the pilfer tier. So the thing that I'm changing on there is and says one wallpaper every 2 months. I'm changing that to one wallpaper every month. I was kind of juggling between either two wallpapers a month or one wallpaper a month, but just to test out the whole schedule's changing. Even like me doing art is completely changing. So just to test it, I'm gonna do one a month. I just feel one wallpaper every 2 months, which it currently is. I feel that's not enough to give. So I'm gonna up it to once a month because I also do the desktop wallpaper and the phone wallpaper. So if there's any specific sizes that you guys need for your phone or for your desktop, let me know. Put in the comments that I'd like to have this size. I'll whip it out really quick and then I'll update it saying here's a new wallpaper size for you to use. I'm not going to do all the wallpapers right off the get-go because I don't know who uses what. So if you asked for this size, then I know, then I'll add that to the list. When I export out a wallpaper, it will just automatically export for me. That's the beauty of Illustrator. I absolutely love that feature that you just export out a bunch of different artboards and they pop out when you tell them to pop out. So it'll be easy enough. You just gotta tell me what sizes you want. Same for the foam wallpapers and stuff like that. That's it for the new update for the schedule and the pilfer tier. The next thing that we'll go into is the mosquito outfitter, the first object that's going to be placed within the world that you would be able to interact with, and also the first object that the alien insect would have designed himself. Or I'm trying to think on how they would build it. I'm thinking it's something that they would tell the materials and how to react, so it kind of enforces it. It's almost like they would be coding in a formula or something into the material itself. They'd kind of throw the blob of whatever it is, and then over time it grows into the shape that they want it to. So it's still going to have, like, everything's still going to be organic. It's just the only thing that I'm doing now for the objects, especially the ones that the aliens would have created, they're just going to be me. I'm going to try and push my creativity limit even further. So I'm trying to get more weird, make it more strange, and base it off of how I want that alien insect to react. So the mosquito is based off of like aggression, and he's really creepy. So I'm trying to make all his, or its like appliances or whatever to fit it. So when you're in a mosquito's base, regardless of the color, because right now that's going to be blue because that's the colors that it would be using, and so I'm making those blue, but it's the shape of them and how they're going to react. So you can look at I posted that on Patreon. You can see the concept on there. So so how it's going to work is the arms that's pulling the thing out. When you walk up to the object, when it's not open, it would be closed and the arms would be in a restful state. you'd say I want to enter or enter. The arms would animate, open the door to the inside of the outfitter. There would be an animation that would play that would walk you inside, and then face the player to the camera, or your pilot to the camera, kind of like this, pretty much orientation. And when you're inside, the camera will animate to another position that is kind of locked. It won't be a free range camera that you can rotate in any direction, because you'll only be able to see the front most areas, like the head, the torso, and if there's any leg armor, then leg armor, like that kind of stuff. Maybe like some shoulder armor, like all this kind of stuff. So when the camera's in the position, it will focus on the head, and when you're focusing on the head, it will display another menu. And in this menu, this is where you have the option to socket or gem, whatever it might be when I come up with the actual term for it. But that's a very loose term to have. Socket or gem. And kind of like in World of Warcraft, where you have your armor set, and then you can apply meta gems, or like a sapphire gem, I can't remember exactly, which has additional ability, like a little bit more intellect, a little bit more haste, like that kind of idea. So taking that idea and putting that into the armor sets, except for it would be attack power, defense, for example, could be storage, a little bit extra storage on the piece, like that kind of stuff. And then the outfitter, what allows it to do is to customize your outfits or your armor sets to the way that you want it. So if you want to have an armor set that's more PvP based, that you want to have kind of like a glass cannon kind of armor set, where you just want to have high attack on every slot that you have in there, you just want to pump it full of attack, then you can have that. So you can do an immense amount of damage and just take 2 hits and you're dead. That if that's your play style, then do it. That's what I'm encouraging you guys all to do, is when it comes to this kind of stuff, I want to try and open it up as much as I possibly can. And then with the outfitter, so that's the whole plan for the outfitter, is for you to do that, to outfit it and gem up your gear and make it do what you want the gear to do, rather than myself kind of creating equipment and gearing it for all that stuff. Everything will have base stats. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to do any work when it comes to numbers. I'll do base stats, but the gems and stuff like that, you can significantly change the stats, and that would be really cool. It's kind of like you would be reverse engineering, or when you create that blueprint, you could tell it, maybe you could have the option, right? Maybe I could say the blueprint base, if you don't alter anything within the blueprint, you get these stats. If you want to have a fully customizable outfit, which this is going for a really good idea right now, a fully customizable chest piece, for example, you can say this blueprint, if you add this material in here, it resets the stats, and then it floods you with gem sockets. Gem sockets. And then when you go to the outfitter, you'd have to go to the outfitter now and gem it. So then you could really do a whole glass cannon. You could do one with like a little bit of attack, but like heavy defense. So it could really open everything up into how you want your armor set to be. And then that can open it up into the armor stand, which sounds really familiar to what an outfitter would be. The armor stand is very much complementary to the outfitter, especially if you want to have more than one armor set, because you're not going to be able to carry extra armor sets on you. So anything that you're wearing, from armor to equipping to weapons, what you see is what you have. So if you're carrying a heavy weapon, you can only carry 1 to 2 light weapons, or like small handgun type stuff. If you carry a medium weapon, like an assault rifle or something, then you can carry 1 to 2 smalls. But you can't do a heavy, like a rocket launcher or a long rifle, a medium, as in an assault rifle. You can't do those two together. It's either one or the other, because they're going to be heavy, so they're going to be slung on your back, right? I couldn't imagine having 2 of those huge objects on my back. So I'm going to, as of right now, it's limited to one heavy, or one medium, and then 1 to 2 smalls. And then with armor, obviously, one headpiece, one chest piece, one whatever else. And then, so these armor stands, what I was getting into is each armor set that you gem up or you create that's either a base or custom, you can equip them on this armor stand, which would be a physical 3D object that would be essentially like a loadout. So if you want this to be your glass cannon outfit where you have all the high power weapons and stuff like that, then it would all be on that armor stand, from the armor to the weapons. And then when you go up to the armor stand, you can say equip, and the whole thing will kind of like morph onto you, and then you'd have that armor set. So if you want to have an armor set for trading, which might have certain things like maybe there could be gems for extra reputation, or could be extra storage slots on your backpack, like that kind of stuff. And then you can have that armor set with its weapons if you need it, or whatever other trading stuff you might need that I might put in that you would use as a trader. You can have one for exploring, so this gives you something else, man. It gives you a little higher percentage chance for finding better loot, or you get more materials when you use this outfit. Like, so when you're doing certain tasks, you have to equip the right thing. Now, this is also going to incorporate like an interesting mechanic, because if you're out exploring and you get attacked, your explorer's outfit is not going to be well equipped for fighting or defending, so it's going to be quite interesting. So you'll be able to do the same thing that you do for your pilot for your ship, so it'll be different. Your ship would be outfitted for different things. How that's going to work, I don't know entirely how that will work on the different, like, I'll say armor stands loosely for your ship, but there will be something kind of like that for the ship, so you can equip it for PvP, for trading, for exploring, for you name it, whatever you want to do, then you'll be able to outfit it for that. So you could have many, many different stands. The stands could be for a very specific task that you want to do. They could be specific to, you just like that armor set and that's it, right? They could all have just basic balance stats, and you could just have an abundance of cool outfits. It's like, I feel like wearing this one today, I feel like wearing this one. So you have the full range to do anything you want with the outfitter, to gem them and see all the cool animations. So when you get in, the thing opens, you do all your customizations, the thing closes, does some weird noise, and then when it opens again, your character would walk out and you'd have all the gems for it. And then what I'm going to do for when I start actually modeling this and get it into the engine in that state, like near the final state, I'm going to try and implement the basic code of the animation going in with the outfitter opening, with all the camera movement, the very limited and basic UI or user interface for the gemming, get the idea across of all the camera movements, and then also the closing, that noise, and then it animates, and then you have your freedom to walk about again and do whatever you need to do. So that's the whole plan for the outfitter, and the plan for the armor set, or the armor stand, which I have planned for the Twitch live streams. That could change. It really depends on how fast and how much we do for the Patreon live streams. I'll bring things over from Twitch, or I'll think of probably most likely something completely different that's unassociated with Twitch. But there's I have builds, things that I want to do, and that means if I have to bring things over from Twitch, then I'll do that. Then you guys would just see that until it's done, and only see that within the game. And then certain things, eventually everyone's going to see it, but the whole creation process, you guys will have exclusive viewership to it, and then as soon as it's in the game and finalized, then I'll start showing everyone, so you guys get to see the whole behind the scenes. That includes everything that I have planned to talk about today. I can give you two additional things. One is a personal story. It's kind of cool, actually. It is fun too. So I haven't gone fishing in about 17 years or more. It's been an insanely long time. And last time I remember ever using a fishing rod was one of those kiddie ones with the trigger. You throw it, and well, it's super easy and let go, and that's it. And I don't ever remember catching anything other than seaweed or a stick of some sort. So when we went this past weekend with my brother and his buddies, they lent a fishing rod, and they go fishing all the dang time, the big fishermen. So I'm like, all right, so I'll come with and hang out with those guys, and it's an excuse for me to drink beer. So I did. I brought 2. So he gave me his rod, his new rod. I'm like, dude, like, don't. You don't need to do that, because it's like, use your good rod, give me the garbage one, because I'm gonna be garbage. I really am. He's like, no, he's insistent. So I used his good rod. They showed me how to cast, because I'm like, just teach me anyway. I don't want to assume, and I don't want to break the rod either. So they show me, and I'm like, all right, great. So I baited my hook, or they baited it for me. They show me how they put the worm on. I'm like, okay, so I understand now. So they do that, and they're like, all right. So I held it, and I popped the clutch or whatever you call it on the fishing rod to get ready to cast, and trying to figure out, like, okay, this kind of feels all right. I'm like doing it one hand, because I felt awkward with 2 at first, and then I cast it. I'm like feeling confident for some reason already. I'm like, I feel like this is going to be a good first cast. Cast it, and it plummets into the water, just like smashes in, and then after like a second or so after, you hear another ploop, and there goes my worm, just completely off the hook. Like I like reefed it at the at the water. It was god awful. And then later on, I'm like trying to keep adjusting, keep doing the same dang thing, right? Or casting it where I don't want to cast it, like I'm aiming straight and cast over here, like that kind of stuff. Another one where it's just like there was like a big tall weed behind where I was sitting on my chair, and I look back and I'm like, okay, so it's cleared. There's like enough clearance, and then as I go to cast, I must like dip my arm even more to get like a nice wind up. And as I dipped, I didn't even realize I did it, and I go to cast. It's like it caught on the weed, and I'm like, whoa, and then lost my worm because of that. So I eventually ripped the reed out of the way, because I did that twice. But eventually I got the hang of it. I ended up catching a catfish about this big, another fish that has a really wide thing, caught 3 of those, so in total I caught 4 fish that day. I'd say that's a pretty good like a catch day for the first time in only God knows how long. And the last thing that I want to leave you guys with is something that I've kind of been working on secretly behind the scenes. No one's hasn't seen anything. I haven't really talked about it. I know I teased at it on the very first Guild podcast. I am working on another alien insect to put into the world. Which one, I know, but I'm not going to say. Which means if there's another insect, there's going to be another area to the world that we're going to add. I know which area. I'm not going to tell you right yet. And when I finish the concept for the new alien insect, you guys here, my elites, you guys will be the first ones to see the concept, see if you guys approve, any suggestions you might have. But right now I'm like insanely picky for it. I want to make sure the design is good, make sure it's different from the one that we have already, make sure it fits the personality that I'm creating for it. It's a lot of fun, but it's also kind of like, am I doing this good enough? Because every design that I want to make sure that it fits into the world. Every character from a distance, especially silhouette-wise, is different. And you can really differentiate the two. So if you guys have any ideas for it, let me know. I'll take in your opinions and your advice and suggestions as best as I can into the design, because I am being insanely specific and picky about these designs, so I'll only be able to take in so much if I possibly can. I'll do my best to listen, and if I can't incorporate it into the insect that you guys are kind of making suggestions to, I'll easily put that into the next insect. Kind of, I'm always learning and trying to improve every concept that I do. Even on the outfitter, I did a different style of concepting that I've never done before. It's just a nice like build up of color with like the opacities. I've never done anything other than I was like just getting used to doing blacks and whites, like just erasing with a low opacity and building that up to get a like a gradient to show a little bit of form. I've never been taught how to do that. I've only ever seen people within videos do that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a whole another like story to go over. So I'm always learning, and I want you guys to be a part of this as much as me, and I want to take in as much as I possibly can, and hopefully form this game together, this really cool idea, and form it together. But this is all that I have to talk about today, guys. I want to thank you for listening, and again, if there's any questions you guys want me to bring up during the Guild podcasts, like any topics you want me to go over, anything like that. If you guys want me to talk about like a funny personal story, if I ever have one, like I don't get out of the house much, but when I do, I'll try and generate a story so I can tell you guys if you guys like this stuff. So let me know, comment on it, let me know how you like this, and because I'm always looking at how to improve this stuff. Anyway, guys, keep on hunting, and I will see you in the next Guild podcast.